can. Hello, everybody. Welcome on the French Working Crew. Today, I'm here with Dr. Selman, known as Tony, to talking about the anniversary, this sad anniversary of the killing of the 35th President of the United States, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. So, for now, I have Dr. Silkman with me, and it's the first time. So, welcome. It's a pleasure for me
Thank
to,
you, thank you.
and thank you to accept my invitation. I would like just to ask you how the situation is for now in Australia about the COVID. Is it better or is it
It
worse?
the situation, the situation in Australia is much better now.
Yeah.
There's
Ah,
a high
nice.
degree of compliance. Most people are double vaccinated, but like in America and other places of the world, there are people who are very much against vaccination. They don't want to be vaccinated for whatever reason.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so there is a lot of restrictions now for people who refuse to be vaccinated. So I'm coming up for my second jab in about 2 weeks' time. But the majority of people in my state are double vaccinated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's the same for my mother, my father, and for a lot of people I
Yes.
know. And yeah, I know it's really important. And yeah, it's the same in Belgium. We have a lot of restriction for people who are not vaccinated
Yes.
because, yeah, but hopefully, the truth, like we say, the situation will goes better and better. We hope so. Really?
I think so. But we never know what's going to come in the
No.
future. That's the problem.
Yeah.
The virus itself is very likely to mutate and change, and there could be other viruses just around the corner. So at least the world is sort of semi-prepared now for a pandemic. This is the very first pandemic I've experienced, and it's been very, very scary, life-changing for a lot of people around the
Oh,
world.
yeah.
Very scary.
Oh yeah. It is. It was, and it is. It still is. And you know what you are talking about because can you introduce yourself for the people who don't know you? It's uh,
um,
it's
well,
possible that
I feel
there is.
I've yes, I feel a bit embarrassed, but yeah,
Oh, don't.
basically, I went to the University of Adelaide to study a science degree, and I majored in biochemistry, microbiology, and genetics. That was part of my normal science degree. I was very lucky. I was invited to do honors in biochemistry, and that was a year of research in a laboratory, and that was fantastic fun. It was
Yeah. I
incredible,
imagine.
and I worked with DNA, and my honors thesis went really well. I got a first class honors, which is the highest you can get, and that was fantastic. I then went to the Women's and Children's Hospital here in Adelaide to do a PhD in molecular genetics. I went through the Faculty of Medicine and I did my PhD on, like I said, on human genetics. And the interesting thing was I was doing DNA mapping studies in families. We were looking at fragile sites. These were regions of human chromosomes that are very fragile and can break.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah. Yeah.
was doing genetic marker analysis. So all the techniques that Cherie Cohen uses.
Yeah.
Well, I was
Yeah.
I was
You
one of the
know.
people. I was one of the people isolating these genetic markers, these genetic polymorphic markers. Back in the 80s. So I had
I
a lot
know.
of experience.
Yeah.
I had
And
a
you.
lot of experience in that type of field. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you have, and it's in listen to you on full play because you have also a team, a channel.
Yes.
I don't know
Yeah.
how can I can call that a team. yeah, it's a team.
Oh
uh,
yeah, look,
because you
I'm
work all together and you are really close.
yeah, yeah, I'm just a small part of the team, and I've got a great group of people uh, behind me and with me, and very passionate researchers, and I'm very very fortunate. For me personally, I'm very lucky that my field of expertise is in molecular biology.
Yeah,
So when I did the Stephen Avery, Brendan Dassey cases, it was incredible. I was in my
yeah,
element because most of the material, most of the evidence that was used was DNA
yeah.
to convict Stephen, and of course there was no forensic evidence against Brendan.
No,
But yeah,
nothing.
after my PhD, I went back to the University of Adelaide, and I was a postdoctoral research fellow for 5 years, working in molecular biology, and it was fantastic.
Yeah,
Did some really good
it
work.
must be. Yeah,
I
yeah.
got yeah, I got 14 publications in total, scientific journals,
Wow.
and then after that, I was very lucky. Teaching position came up within the department at the time, and I was a University of Adelaide academic for 25 years, and I taught biochemistry, molecular biology.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
taught both science, medicine, and biotech, and it was incredible. So I recently retired. My wife passed away, unfortunately, from breast cancer in
Yeah.
2014. I worked for about another year and a half after that, and the university was offering separation packages. I took one, and thank God I can now look after my health. And I'm very happy that I'm part of Foul Play team, and I can get to hear you guys and everybody else in the research field. And it's awesome. I'm very, very privileged. And thank you very much for inviting me, Jerome. I'm very
Oh,
happy about that.
you are really welcome, my friend. Really, really. It's a pleasure for
Thank
me
you.
too. It's a pleasure. And you're right. It's really important to know the past to build the future. So
Oh,
I
no,
will.
no
Uh,
question.
I'm going to let you initiate the conversation because I know it will be the subject the most discussed of all the
Yeah,
time. Yeah, since this
yeah.
58 years. And
Oh, correct. Yes.
it's a great, great rabbit hole. And but here we go for
Yes.
the special GFK. Dr. Silman is on board. Here we go.
Thank you very much, Jerome. Well, first of all, what I like to do, I mean, at the end of the day, it's impossible to talk about all about the JFK assassination and the
Impossible.
aftermath. Uh, we'll be here for a year for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh,
But what I like to do
at least.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, at least a year. But what I like to do is to break it down as simply as I possibly can. So, first of all, Jerome, if I could just take a few minutes to
Yeah.
talk about my background, how I got introduced to the JFK assassination, because we all have some type of entry
Yeah.
point into this
Yeah.
fascinating world. Well, first of all, the JFK assassination is possibly one of the most studied events in human history, right?
Correct.
Hundreds of thousands of people, probably millions, have studied the JFK assassination and its aftermath, all the consequences to it. It's huge. There
It's
are
huge.
literally thousands of books written.
Oh, yeah.
There are
Mhm.
hundreds and hundreds of documentaries
Oh, yeah.
about the JFK assassination. There's an overwhelming amount of information and literature. And I started in 1985, right? A long time ago in the
Yeah.
case.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'd seen some documentaries on television as a young person. And I could remember, Jerome, everything was in black and white.
Yeah,
It wasn't crystal clear. It was very fuzzy. It was a chaos. It was just a huge mess. And
I
so
remember.
because there
I
was, there were, yeah,
I
sorry, Jerome.
remember. I remember because it was really funny when you say you start in 1996 because this is the year I've start to be involved in the case. I was just turning 16 and I read the book,
Wow.
JFK, and directly
Yes.
I was intoxicated by that. I
Oh, yeah.
was, yeah. So i- I was laughing because I was, oh, really, in 1996? Yeah, it's the same year I start.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I
Yeah. Well,
remember. I remember.
I,
Yeah.
yeah, yes, I actually started research in 1985.
Ah,
That's
85. Ah,
in 1985. That's when I first started.
my
I know.
bad. My bad. My
No,
bad. I
no,
was
no, no problems at
11
all.
years after.
That yeah, that goes to show how crazy I was.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
uh, I'm I've got a very inquiring mind, and I like to ask a lot of questions and do research because remember my background is uh, as an academic, as a
yeah.
scientist. So I was very interested in the JFK assassination for multiple of reasons. And I'd seen a lot of documentaries, I'd read a lot of books, and what struck me was there seemed to be camps, two distinct camps. The lone nutters, right? The lone nutters
Yeah,
who
yeah,
took the position of the government.
yeah.
That is, Lee Harvey Oswald was he committed the assassination. He fired all the shots. He did everything by himself. He killed.
Tip
He
it.
show us your T-shirt. Hold on. I don't know if you can see that. Forensic gangster. That was given to me by my foul play team. So for a bit of publicity there.
Excellent.
But yeah, there were two camps.
Yeah,
There were the lone nutters who
yeah.
believed in what the government had pushed forward, the Warren Commission.
The Warren
And then there
Commission.
was the other side, the Warren Commission. And then there was the other side, the conspiracy theorists, right? And they believed that there was a conspiracy to murder JFK. And I thought to myself, well, Jerome, there's it's either going to be one or the other. It can't be both, right?
No, no.
And so the Warren Commission basically concluded, and I'll go over this, basically concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald fired all three shots from the Texas School Book Depository, right?
Right,
About an hour later, he had killed Officer J.D. Tippett, right?
right,
After 2 days, he was gunned down by Jack Ruby
right,
in the police basement, right?
right.
And the government concluded, wait for it, that Lee Harvey Oswald and Jack Ruby were two lone nuts. They
Yep.
didn't know each other, and it was all beautiful, all simple, and it was the whole assassination was the work of two lone nuts. And that was the conclusion of the Warren Commission,
Yeah, I know.
right? And the conspiracy theorists were saying, no, 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 no. It's much more complex than that. Either Lee Harvey Oswald was working with somebody else, or Lee Harvey Oswald wasn't a shooter, and Jack Ruby had ties to organized crime, right?
Right.
Plus, you had all these characters and institutions in the background as well who were conspiring to murder John F. Kennedy,
Yeah.
right? So I was I was only young, but I was very curious, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
you know what I did? I thought, okay, let's get to the bottom of this. So I went to our library, the Bar Smith Library, and I borrowed the Warren Commission report.
All the 26
800,
volume? Yeah.
wait, 800 pages. the Warren
Oh,
Commission report, and our library had all 26 volumes of the Warren Commission exhibits
wow,
and the transcripts, right? So
wow.
I, in 1985, while doing my PhD, I
Yeah,
decided I was going to read the Warren report, right? And I, I remember reading it. And Jerome, no joke, God's honor. I said, yeah, Lee Harvey Oswald, he did everything. He killed the president. He killed Officer Tippett. Ruby gunned him down. No problems. No, I honestly
yeah, yeah. I
believe
know.
what if you read the Warren report, you can't come to any other conclusion.
No, no,
It
no.
was
I know.
very, very simple. Lee Harvey Oswald did all
Acted
the
alone.
shooting.
Yeah, yeah.
He acted alone. Nobody else was with him. Had nothing to do with Russia. Nothing to do with Cuba, Fidel Castro. Nothing to do with the CIA. Nothing. He did
Nothing.
it all by himself, right?
Right?
However, however, when I started reading the 26 volumes, what became clear was that what the witnesses were saying to the Warren Commission was different
Yeah.
to the conclusion of the Warren report. So all these eyewitnesses were saying, no, 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 we saw this, we heard this, but the Warren report basically either ignored, fabricated,
Oh, fabrication. Yeah,
changed,
yeah.
or changed reports, testimonies, and everything. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, this can't be right. How can the government, with all these top lawyers, professionals,
Oh, yeah,
how could
because they
they
were really highly professional. So,
absolutely the you got to remember this was the 60s,
yeah,
right? And this was a time where people believed in the government,
in the
believed in
institution. Yeah, yeah,
yes, yes, believed in the government, believed in institutions, and whatever the elderly men said, people believed,
yeah,
right? This was a time where the police, the military, the FBI were all highly respected,
yeah.
right? This was
Yeah,
the
it's true.
60s,
Yeah.
right? Today, it's a different world.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a completely different world. But
I agree.
back then, it was very different. Whatever these esteemed gentlemen came up with, the majority of the public believed, right? But Jerome, there were people very early on, the first line researchers that had done exactly what I did. They
Yeah,
read the report, they
yeah.
read the documents, and they said, no, 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 no,
No.
something is not right here, right? So there was a lot of dissent starting
Yeah,
to happen,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
There was a
Like
big
Mark
push.
Lane, like as an example, Mark Lane
Yes,
was one of the first
correct.
to.
Mark Lane, correct. And he was absolutely hated,
Oh, yeah.
especially by the FBI and the CIA, right? Because
I know.
in the Warren report came out, so that should have been the end of it. That should have been the end of it. But
Yeah,
clearly, there were a lot of early researchers who were trying to dig deeper. And Jerome, the amazing thing was these early researchers like Mark Lane, Eisenberg, and others actually went to talk to witnesses.
yeah.
They went out and they spoke to the witnesses and said, what did you see? What did you hear? And then they would tell this story, and then he would have the transcript to say, yeah, but
We was not the same. Yeah.
in the Warren Commission, you said this and this and this. And they're looking at it going,
I never
I
say
never
that.
said that. I never said that. And so what was happening was that
Yeah.
The
I know.
commissioners, the some of the people on the commission, they were actively changing the transcripts.
Yeah.
They were leaving stuff out. They were putting things in to give the story. And the story, Jerome, was this: Lee Harvey Oswald fired 3 shots from the southeastern corner of the Texas School Book Depository, and that's it.
Yeah, I know.
Anything else, the Warren Commission was not interested and didn't want to hear.
Nothing.
So if anyone had a different story or recollection, they were either ignored or, and this is unbelievable, discredited.
Yeah,
Discredited.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
the way the Warren Commission worked was this, right? They interviewed hundreds of people. The FBI took thousands of testimonies, right? If you said one wrong thing, if you got the time wrong, the date wrong, or some small fact incorrect, they would say, this person cannot be trusted.
No,
Their
no.
testimony, we ignore. Right?
I
So
know it's crazy.
basically,
Yeah.
yeah, it is crazy. So all
Yeah.
these individuals who were talked, who the Warren Commission spoke to, the attorneys, the lawyers spoke to, they assessed each person, right? And if you weren't telling the things that they wanted to hear, your testimony was rejected or modified.
Yeah.
And there's absolute proof that this is what happened.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, these early researchers went up to the different people that they were interviewing and said, but wait a minute, your testimony says you said this and this and this. And they said, that's not what I said.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
know.
it's really funny because we all know, right? We all know because we've worked on the Stephen Avery, Brendan Dassey cases, right?
Right.
The very first testimony or statement that a
Yeah.
person gives is the most accurate one,
Yeah. I agree.
right? What happens is when the FBI and the Dallas police and the Warren commissioners start talking to the same witness, Jerome, their testimonies changed. Their
Yeah.
testimony, they changed their testimony, right?
Yeah.
So you can
Right.
actually track their initial statements to their final statements, right? And it's really funny because
Yeah.
when these people were questioned in the Warren Commission, the attorneys would say, well, I've got a document here from the FBI that says you said this. And the person will go, no, I didn't. I didn't say that. Right? So
Yeah.
it was funny because they gave a statement to the Dallas police, right? In the sheriff's office.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the most accurate one,
Yeah.
right? Because no one knew what had happened. Then the FBI interviewed the same person, and all of a sudden the testimonies the recollections were starting
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
change.
To yeah. Yeah. To change. Yeah.
Yeah. And then by the time they went in front of the Warren Commission, it was a totally different story.
Yeah.
But fortunately, some people stuck to their guns. They stuck to their guns and told the
Yeah.
same story. You know what the Warren Commission did? Rejected their testimonies.
Yeah. And
You know,
some of these people was killed after that.
yes,
Was
yeah.
murderer after that. Yeah.
We'll get to that. At the end of the day, people got very, very scared. A lot of people just refused to talk. They didn't want to be contacted.
I
They
know.
didn't want anything to do with the case. And the sad thing is, a lot of people were killed, were murdered, and the Warren Commission goes, oh, well, It happens.
It's yeah, it happens. Yeah, yeah, it's life.
It,
Yeah,
it
in
happens.
1 year period, we have a 63. So I don't remember. Maybe 60. Yeah, 63 person who died from some causes, but in 1 year period. So it's a lot. But for the Warren Commission,
Correct.
it's the life. It
Correct.
happens.
Correct.
Yeah, but
And every time they used to have a new investigation, all these people would die
yeah,
mysteriously
mysteriously.
just
Yeah,
before just just before the new investigation was going to take place. In
yeah.
1 year, I think 200, close to 200 people were
Oh yeah, a
killed or
lot. Oh yeah,
mysteriously died
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah, yeah, yeah,
they had a new investigation that the government was setting up. All these FBI agents, all these mafia bosses, all these witnesses died,
yeah,
died
yeah.
in mysterious circumstances.
But there is nothing
So
to hide. Nothing.
and nothing to nothing to worry about. So
No.
Jerome, that's how I got into the case. But for me, to be honest, the game changer was the film JFK.
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
film JFK by Oliver Stone
Excellent movie.
completely changed the landscape for me. For
Yeah,
the very first time, it put me into the scene of the assassination itself.
yeah.
And it gave me a totally different perspective of many, many different things. And this allowed me to go back and do even more research
Most.
and more study.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
more
was the same
research
for
and more
me. It
study.
was like a booster and an excellent movie.
Yeah,
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 correct,
yeah, yeah.
correct.
An
So,
excellent movie.
oh, brilliant. One of the best films I've ever seen.
Oh yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah, yeah.
And
Brilliant.
so what I did is I actually joined a couple of JFK forums, right? So online
Mhm.
forums, not Discord, but they were online forums.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
never even heard of Discord. So I joined about two or three JFK forum, big ones. And I realized very quickly how little knowledge I had, how little knowledge I actually had.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. It's huge. I know. I know.
I thought I thought I knew a lot about the assassination. I actually knew that much about the assassination. And
Yeah,
trust me, there were people who have studied every aspect of everything, everything. And when you enter in that type of forum, if you don't know your material,
yeah,
you are gone. You are crushed.
yep.
If you make an error, you say something wrong, you come up with some type of weird hypothesis or something like that,
Yeah, yeah,
you're in deep, deep trouble. And
yeah. It's
I don't know
sad
about you.
because
Yep.
we all deserve the freedom of expression. So it's
Yes.
you
Correct.
see. So and for yeah, you was asking about me. Yeah, me. I always think that it was yeah, it was not the story that they want to buy to me, and I don't buy the story. So I don't have read the 26 volume of the Warren Commission because it was not available in Belgium at the time,
Yes.
and it was really highly difficult to have document because we don't
To
have
obtain
internet or at, at the moment to
back
obtain
then.
document. Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, yeah. It was the 90s, so it was a different world from
Correct. Correct.
and
Correct.
but I have tried to find by myself all documents or all books talking about the case, and I was really passionate by it. And when I was watching some documentary on the television talking about the JFK assassination, I was always
Yes.
excited about. And early on the when the new year happened, the new, no, not the new, the new, um, in 2000, the new century. Yeah, when the new
Ah,
century
yes,
happened,
yes,
we have internet. So I've
yes,
started to do more research and go on website and goes on different things and see documents and see testimony of eyewitness, because this is really important. And I it was wow, it was mind blowing, because uh, the
yes.
all you can learn on this case. And one moment you think then you have not resolved the case, but because it's impossible, but you think then, yeah, I have a good knowledge about that. But after you realize, then you don't know nothing, because not nothing, but just a little part of the story, because
A little bit.
it's yeah, it's so huge. But Tony, uh, are you agree with me? Because it's something it's my opinion. Do you? I will tell you. I'm going to tell you. Uh, for me, the assassination of the president and the cover up are two different things. Are you agree with me on this point?
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. I
Ah,
agree. Correct.
because I don't have asked you before if you agree with that, so I ask you
I do.
if you. Okay.
I do.
Okay.
But what what I'd like to do, Jerome, is I want to now turn to Dealey Plaza. Is that all
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The important thing is to understand what actually happened. And so here's the important thing. Now we know that John F. Kennedy was the president. He was a president. He was a new age president, right? He wanted to
Right.
bring a lot of changes. He was very charismatic. A lot of people loved him.
Oh yeah.
However, a lot of people hated him.
Oh yeah.
They really, really hated him because he was changing the old ways. Now, think about this. In his in his tenureship as president, which didn't last very long,
No.
we had the Bay of Pigs, right? The very badly botched Bay of Pigs, which essentially was an invasion of Cuba. They were trying to
Of Cuba
overthrow
by the CIA.
Fidel
Yeah.
Castro, right? By trying to assassinate him.
Yeah.
These people that were involved in trying to invade Cuba, they were being trained by the CIA, right? So the CIA were training these anti-Castro Cubans, providing them with training, providing them with weapons to invade Cuba.
Yeah.
And the thought by the CIA was, oh, well, the people will rebel against Fidel Castro, will liberate Castro, everything will be great. We can open up the Cuban economy. Because remember, there were a lot of casinos in
Yeah.
Cuba
Yeah.
that were
Yeah.
all owned by the mafia. So
Yeah. All the mob
they
was. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
were running the casinos in Havana and other places in Cuba. When Fidel Castro took over, he booted them all out,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
there was a rich source of income gone. And plus, America was doing a lot of trading with Cuba, right? All that
Right.
stopped when Fidel Castro came along, everything stopped. So that was the failed Bay of Pigs invasion.
Yeah.
The problem was the CIA, the head of the CIA at that time was Allen Dulles,
Yeah.
right?
Alan Dulles. Yeah.
Yep, Allen Dulles. And he was thinking that Kennedy would provide air cover, send in aeroplanes, bomb the airports, bomb this, bomb that, and hence his troops will be able to overtake Cuba. Kennedy
Yeah.
said,
No.
no way,
No way.
no way. Now, he's not going to send in any troops. He's not going to escalate it. He's not going to
No.
cause any trouble whatsoever.
No.
Well, let me tell you, the amount of people that were killed and put in prison and the amount of people that fled and came back to, I think, Miami, Florida,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
right? You had a whole heap of anti-Castro Cubans who wanted Kennedy dead
Yeah.
for betraying for
For
betraying.
betraying.
Yep, for betraying. And of course, the CIA were incredibly embarrassed because Kennedy didn't come to their rescue.
No.
So once Kennedy found out, he fired Allen Dulles, right? The head of the
Directly.
CIA.
Yeah.
He
It was
fired,
huge. It was huge at the time because
it
we
was
need to put
massive.
we
Yep,
really need to put in the context of the 60s
correct,
the president of
correct,
the United States who limoges Alan Dulles from his post from the CIA. Alan Dulles was
correct,
so big. He was
huge,
he was the CIA. He really so to
correct.
fired him, it was wow, something big. But Kennedy
That was
was thinking to destroy the CIA.
he
So
he
so
threatened to he threatened to disband the CIA, right?
yeah,
Because if you're the president, you need to know what your intelligent forces are doing, correct? You
correct.
can't have the intelligent forces deciding to put it this way, try and take over another country, assassinate another leader, right?
Yeah,
But it was at Jerome, it was actually worse than that. It was
yeah,
much worse than that.
I know.
It later got discovered in the 70s when there was a new commission. It was a new commission in which they discovered the CIA was actually working with the mafia,
Yeah, with the mob. Yeah,
to organize assassins to assassinate Fidel
Fidel
Castro.
Castro.
Yeah. Now think about it. The CIA,
I know.
the mafia, to go in Cuba and assassinate Fidel Castro. This was found out many, many years later. The problem was this, right? Robert F. Kennedy, who was the Attorney General, was
Yeah,
putting all the mafia bosses in prison.
yeah,
He was arresting as many mafia bosses in prison. Imagine if Kennedy found out that the CIA were actually in cahoots with organized crime to assassinate Fidel Castro, right?
yeah.
Imagine if that got found out in 1963. But that was kept very, very quiet, right? And then
Right.
we have the Bay of Pigs. Then we have the Cuban Missile Crisis, where no joke, and all jokes aside, our whole planet could have been destroyed.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
There
Ready.
could have easily been a nuclear confrontation between America, Russia, Cuba, total annihilation. Total annihilation.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
with the Cuban Missile Crisis, what was happening was that the Russians were putting intercontinental ballistic missiles on Cuban soil. On Cuban soil, which means 30 minutes away, you can bomb America.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
You can bomb American cities, California, New York, you name it, within 30 minutes, right? Now, you had the Bay of Pigs invasion,
yeah,
you had the Cuban Missile Crisis, and no joke, luckily the Russian president said, turn back the boats, because Kennedy said this will be an act of war,
yeah,
right? In the background, Jerome, you had Kennedy's military advisors saying to him, pull the trigger, pull the trigger, do a first nuclear strike on Russia, right? His own generals were saying to him, let's take the Russians
yeah,
out once and for all.
yeah. I know.
Kennedy said, if we do that, how many American lives would be lost? And you know what the general said to him? 40 million.
I know.
40. And
I know.
Kennedy's looking at them saying, are you guys joking? You
He
can
was not
accept
joking. Yeah, yeah.
you can accept a casualty of 40 million Americans dying just because we do a first strike, right? That's how crazy his generals were,
I
right?
know.
They
I
were
know.
begging, they were forcing Kennedy to do the first strike. He said no. But what his army generals didn't know, Jerome, was that he had secret channels with the
Yeah,
Russian president
yeah,
and Fidel Castro.
yeah,
He didn't trust his own people. He used to
yeah,
get on the telephone
yeah. Yeah, it's
and
true.
talk to the president and talk to Fidel Castro to sort of say, calm down, I've got the situation under control. So thank God he had these back channels, right? Now, Jerome, I have to say that I'm naive about all the history. I'm not a historian, but there are historians that know all the fine detail about all the background,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
I'm just giving you just a
Yeah.
little smidgen. There have been many excellent books written about, like you said, Jerome, the 60s and the environment of the 60s, right? And then, of course, we had J. Edgar Hoover, who hated the Kennedys,
Oh yeah.
right? Absolutely hated the Kennedys. And guess who was J. Edgar Hoover's boss?
Aranderas?
No,
No,
Robert
Robert
F.
Kennedy.
Kennedy.
Yeah, yeah.
Robert F. Kennedy.
Yeah,
And I
Robert.
don't know if this is a true story, but the day President Kennedy died, J. Edgar Hoover rang up Robert Kennedy and said, "Your brother's dead," and hung up the phone.
I think
And
it's
he
a true
pulled the
story.
phone.
Yeah,
Yeah, he pulled the phone from the hook to say, "He's no longer my boss because you kill the president, you affect the attorney general," and there was another attorney general who took over. And believe it or not, J. Edgar Hoover, the day after, went to the races. Went to the races. Now,
I
you
know.
just lost your president and you
Yeah,
go
yeah.
gambling at the races the day after.
Yeah, yeah. I know.
And J. Edgar Hoover said the mafia don't exist.
No, I know.
The, the mafia don't exist.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
here's
I
Robert F.
remember.
Kennedy. He's arresting and transporting mafia bosses 24/7.
Yeah,
Then you had Jimmy Hoffa,
yeah.
all the
Jimmy
problems
Hoffa.
with Jimmy Hoffa
Oh
and the
yeah.
Teamsters, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
And
yeah.
then, of course, you had LBJ.
Yeah.
You know that the Kennedy brothers were going to kick off LBJ
Oh
from the
yeah.
ticket.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. I know.
From the
I know.
ticket. They were going to. They had a story all ready to go in Time magazine to say Kennedys are not going to support LBJ, and we're going to support somebody else for nomination for the 1964 election as vice president.
Yeah.
So you had, as you said, Jerome, the 1960s era was crazy,
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And
For a
then
lot
you
of
have
reasons. Yeah.
Berlin, all
Yeah.
the problems in Berlin, the wall, the east, the west. Kennedy was handed all this mess on his doorstep,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was all the background that
Yeah.
took place.
And the
So
Vietnam. And the Vietnam War.
I'm I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of critics go, no, 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 no. Kennedy, he wasn't going to. The reality was Kennedy was going to limit the amount of advisors in
Yeah.
Vietnam. He
Yeah.
was going to pull them out. He said, it's their war, they fight it. But America back then was terrified of communism.
Yeah.
They were terrified of the communists. And, the remarkable thing was the Cold War was full on, right? The Cold War was full on. You had the CIA with
Yeah.
spies everywhere. You
Yeah.
had the FBI looking at what was happening domestically. The CIA and the FBI didn't talk to each other.
No.
They didn't talk to each other.
No.
And if I could just divert a bit, that was the problem with 9/11, September 11. The
I agree.
CIA didn't inform the FBI. The FBI didn't inform the local authorities, and boom, boom, because of a
Yeah.
lack of communication.
Yeah. The lack of communication. Yeah.
Exactly the same thing happened on November the 22nd, 1963.
I agree.
No talking, no communication, and wait for it, the FBI knew Lee Harvey Oswald was in Dallas, Texas, and working at the Texas School Book Depository, and they forgot to tell the Dallas police and the Secret Service that he was there, and they had an agent, Hosty. Remember him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Agent Hosty, who
Yeah.
was assigned to look after Oswald. And
Yeah.
he was having his lunch in Dallas, Texas when the shots rang out.
Yeah. There is a
How
lot.
can you
Yeah.
believe this?
No, I can. I can because
Yeah,
uh,
you
uh, I I I have read so much on the case and I have learned so
correct.
much. Uh, it, it's impossible when you read the testimony of the eyewitness. It's impossible that Oswald was at this place firing three shots on President Kennedy at this time. I or I'm maybe ignorant. I don't know, but no, for me it's impossible for a lot of reason and for a lot of I've read, and it's yeah, the CIA was really aware about Oswald. The FBI was really aware about Oswald. Everybody was really aware about Oswald. I mean, he was, and the thing is, he was not really on the radar. You see what I mean? He was
Oh
not.
yes,
Uh,
yes,
he
correct.
goes to Russia. He comes back. The CIA doesn't care. The FBI doesn't care. Everything is right. But in 1963, when you were living in America and you want to leave left for the Russian, and after 2 years make a comeback like this,
Yeah,
I suppose you will be interrogated by the CIA or
you'll
the
be put in. You'll actually be put in
or
prison.
putting in or putting in prison
You'll actually be.
or
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So and with him, no, nothing.
Yes.
Okay.
Would you like me to talk a little bit about Lee Harvey Oswald?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Now look again. I only know a small amount.
Yeah.
There are people that know everything about Lee Harvey Oswald. Essentially, he was a Marine, right,
Yeah.
with the U.S. Army. He was a Marine, and he
Yeah.
was being trained in the Marine.
Yeah.
One thing about Lee Harvey Oswald was that he was very proficient at Russian. That that just did not happen.
No.
An American speaking Russian in the military. That was very, very rare. And it was pretty obvious that Lee Harvey Oswald is often portrayed as a loner, a loser, someone who's dumb.
Yeah.
He was none of those.
No.
Lee Harvey Oswald was incredibly intelligent. And let me tell you how intelligent he was. He actually worked, a lot of people didn't know this. He actually worked in Japan
Yeah.
at an air base in Atsugi. And guess what he did?
In two
As a
bases.
young
Yeah.
man, he was a radar operator. Now, wait for it, for the CIA spy plane, the U 2. This is Lee Harvey Oswald. He worked directly on a project run by the CIA. He was the
ultra
radar
secret.
operator.
Yeah.
He was the radar operator, which means that you need a level of clearance and security
Oh yeah.
even to make coffee for the pilots
Yeah.
of the U2.
Yeah, it's true.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
The U2 pilots didn't even know each other and where they were going
No.
because
No,
everything had
no.
to be compartmentalized and kept secret, right?
Like always. Like always. Yeah.
Correct. So Lee Harvey Oswald knew all the radar codes of the U2 spy planes. And guess
Yeah.
where the U2 spy planes went to? They flew over Russia. They flew over Russia, right? And because the U2 spy planes flew very fast and also very high, they couldn't be intercepted with missiles
No.
very, very easily, right?
No.
So the amazing thing is that yeah, Jay Jack said, talk about the magic bullet. Don't worry,
Ah.
I promise.
Okay.
So it's quite clear that Lee Harvey Oswald was not an ordinary person, right?
Not at all.
So out of the blue, he goes, look, I want to quit the Marines. I want to look after my mum. My mum's not well. I want to quit. I want to discharge. And mind you, he was a bad boy in the army as well. Got into a lot of trouble. But he got discharged. And then he decided he was going to defect to Russia, right? So he stayed in Russia, got into Russia very, very easily, stayed in Russia for about 2 years, married Marina, and came back. And they even paid for his ticket to come back. Look,
Crazy.
if it was me or you,
Yeah, I know.
that was part of the military, defected, went to Russia, and came back, the moment you step foot on American soil, you would have been put in prison for treason.
Yeah.
Because he said, I'm going to give away all the radar secrets.
Yeah, to the
And remember
Russian.
what
Yeah.
happened? I think it was Powell who
The
got
U2.
shot
Yeah.
down in the U2 spy plane while he was over there. And they're going, oh my God, the Russians have worked out. And remember, the Russian president was saying, what's this aeroplane doing here? And the American president said, what spy plane? We've got no spy plane. And then they brought in Powell. But then who's this guy here? He was the pilot. And that made people worry so much about Oswald that they changed all the codes. Okay, so the point is that Lee Harvey Oswald was not your lone loser dummy. He was actually on a defector program. That he wasn't the only one. So you had all these Marines that defected to Russia, taking pictures, talkie, get intel information. That's why the CIA just let him go, and that's why the FBI let him go, and he was able to move in and out easy. All right, so that's Lee Harvey Oswald. Can we talk about Dealey Plaza before the audience kills me? Okay, so what I like to do is to bring everyone to Dealey Plaza, right? So it's Friday, November the 22nd, 1963. Look at the president. You had the presidential motorcade, right? And it came down Main Street, had to do a turn onto Houston Street, a very slow turn. And then, oh my God, had to do a very slow left-hand turn onto Elm Street, right? They broke every protocol by going very slow. The presidential limousine, was going at about 11 miles per hour. It was going at a snow's pace.
Yeah.
If you look at the presidential limousine from behind, you had John F. Kennedy sitting on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side of President Kennedy was his wife, Jacqueline. In front of JFK was sitting Governor John Connally. Next to John Connally was his wife, Nellie. The important point is this: both John Connally and Nellie Connally were sitting in jump seats.
Yeah.
the seats were lower. So Kennedy was actually higher in the back seat, right? Sitting in front of John Connolly, you had a Secret Service agent, Kellerman, and next to him, you had the driver, Greer. Now, behind the limousine, you had a whole car full of Secret Service agents. All of them had weapons, guns, right? And a lot of the agents were on the running rails. They were standing up, right?
Yeah.
And inside that car, there was an AR-15, an automatic assault rifle, was cocked,
Yeah.
ready to fire,
Yeah.
right? Behind that car, you had Vice President LBJ, right, and his wife and other notorieties. Surrounding the limousine were police officers on motorbikes. So there was a plenty of police officers, plenty of security guard.
Oh
It
yeah.
was jam packed,
But
right?
not the army, because the army
No,
was asked to stay and not move. It was
and
a red
but
flag.
also the Dallas police,
And also the Dallas police was asked to stay away from
to stay
everything. Yeah,
away.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Correct,
I know.
correct. So
It's
The Dallas police, and a lot of them didn't like Kennedy. They were
I
told
know.
stand down. So there were no Dallas police presence in Dealey Plaza,
No.
right? So Dealey Plaza is relatively small.
Yeah.
Now, in
Oh yeah,
front of
it's
the
a small
limousine,
place. Yeah.
it's a small place. In front of the limousine was the triple underpass. To the right of the limousine was the grassy knoll. Directly behind the limousine was the Texas School Book Depository, where Lee Harvey Oswald worked. And next to the Texas School Book Depository, there was the Dow Tex building,
Yeah.
right? Standing on a pedestal was Abraham Zapruder with
Zapruder.
I think it was an 8mm camera,
Yeah.
and he took video, film footage of the assassination. Let me tell you this: the entire assassination event took 6 seconds. 6.
Yeah.
All the chaos, all the death, all the injuries took place in
In
6
6 seconds. Yeah.
seconds.
I agree.
6 seconds. That's it.
Yeah.
Now, what had happened was the majority of witnesses heard 3 gunshots. 3. Some witnesses heard 2 or less. Some witnesses heard more than 3
More.
shots.
Yeah.
Yep, more. So the ear witnesses could not give a regular story. So the
No.
number of shots range from 1 right up to about 6. But the
Yeah.
majority heard 3.
Yeah. And we are not talking about the possible rifle with a suppressor.
Correct, correct. Now
Because if you have a
some people
suppressor, you can eat a shot. You
oh
cannot eat a
correct.
shot.
Correct, correct. You will not be able to hear it, not very well at all. The trouble with Dealey Plaza is that Dealey Plaza is like an echo chamber
Yeah.
because the sounds bounce off the walls. So people were saying, "Oh, the shots came from behind the president." No, 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 no. The shots came from the right side of the president, right? It came from the right side at the grassy knoll towards the railroad tracks. Some people said, no, no, no. It came from the triple underpass in front of Kennedy, right?
Yeah.
So the Zapruder film shows that both John F. Kennedy and John Connolly were hit by bullets. At Zapruder frame Z313,
Yeah.
a bullet struck Kennedy in the head.
Yeah.
Right? We definitely know that for sure. However, it's been very, very controversial, the whole shooting sequence. Right? Even, I tell you now, Jerome, even to this day,
Oh
No
yeah, I
one
know.
knows exactly
I know.
what took place. There are people who said, oh, one shot missed. There are people who say, no, 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 all three shots hit. There are people who say, no, 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 there was a gunman somewhere else, right?
I
So
know.
there is a lot of confusion with what happened in a presidential limousine. So now, look at this. Can you believe that the driver of the limousine put on his brakes?
Yeah.
He
Yeah, it
actually
it was
stopped.
not the and it was not the
He,
protocol. Yeah.
he actually stopped the lim. He put on his brakes, and it was proven that the limo driver actually put on his brakes and slowed down. The
Yeah.
car behind it and the motorcycle police almost crashed into the limousine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right,
yeah. It's proof. Yeah, yeah, I
right,
know.
right. And of course, none of that comes out in the Warren Commission,
No.
right? So
No.
once the three shots had been fired, it was pretty obvious that the president had sustained a very, very bad wound. In my opinion, he was dead. That headshot blew his head apart. He was dead
Yeah.
right
Yeah,
then
yeah,
and
yeah.
there, right?
Yeah.
And you can see, remember when Agent Hill
Yeah.
comes off the running board and jumps
Yeah,
on the
for
back of the
Jackie. Yeah,
limousine
yeah.
to push? You know that Hill was assigned to protect Jacqueline
Jackie.
Kennedy, not
Jackie. Yeah, yeah, I know.
correct, not President Kennedy.
Yeah.
The guards that were there to protect Kennedy, not one of them moved. Not one of them moved from the follow-up car. Not one. And
No
Jerome, you
one.
know the
I
story.
know. Ah,
They
yeah.
were in a bar till four
Yeah, yeah.
o'clock in the morning. Do you
Yeah.
remember that story?
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. They were completely
Yeah.
drunk and they slept just
They
2 hours before take the. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
correct, correct. So they're not going to exactly react very, very quickly, right? So um, the other important point is this: the police officer who was riding his motorbike to John Kennedy's left, on the left-hand side, got splattered with blood and brain matter,
Yeah.
right? That tends to suggest a bullet coming from the right-hand side of the limo, hitting Kennedy on the right-hand side and passing out his head exploded at the back because the
Yeah.
police officer was covered in blood, right?
Yeah,
And
this is
brain
not a
matter.
shoot who come from the behind. It's a shoot come from the front. It's
Correct,
easy
correct,
to
correct,
understand.
correct, 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 except the Warren
Yeah,
Commission.
except the Warren
So,
Commission. Yeah.
so the presidential limousine sped and went to Parkland Hospital. At Parkland Hospital, the surgeons, the doctors, the nurses were trying to revive him, right? But he was dead. They
Yeah, he
couldn't
was
do
dead. Yeah.
anything for President Kennedy.
No,
But here's
sadly
what they
no.
noted. Here's what they noted. There was a round hole, a neat round hole,
Yeah, just here.
about 5 millimeters, just, I think it was underneath the Adam's apple,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
right?
right.
A small, neat, round hole with no jagged edges at all. It was a round hole, which is indicative of a bullet entry wound,
Yeah,
right? If you've got a bullet hole right there, that's got to be a shot from the front, right?
yeah, yeah,
Because what the Zapruder film shows is that Kennedy is sitting erect and looking straight. He's waving at the crowd, but he's looking straight and sitting erect, right?
yeah, yeah.
So the surgeons observed a neat round hole just underneath the Adam's apple, and because Kennedy couldn't breathe, they did a tracheometry and they opened up the wound to put a tube in, right? To try and put oxygen in his lungs.
Yeah, yeah.
The surgeons noted that behind to the right-hand side, of his head, was a huge bloody hole. A huge hole in the back of Kennedy's skull. And his brain matter was oozing from the table, from the operating table that he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
on. He was taken to trauma room number 1.
Yeah, yeah. Number one.
There were
Yeah.
parts of his brain that was literally falling out into a
Yeah.
bucket,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And so there was a neurologist there,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
neurologist, and they all of them said at
Oh,
Parkland,
yeah.
he had a massive hole in the back of his head, right? And so
23 witness. 23
huge,
witness at states. Then they see a large wound on the back of the president, and
oh
this
yeah,
bullet here. Uh,
correct.
it's
There was a hole right there, a
yeah.
massive hole at the back of his head. But one thing that they didn't do at Parkland, they never turned Kennedy over. They
No,
never turned him over. They never realized that he had a wound in the back,
in the
in
back.
his shoulder area. They never saw that at Parkland, right? So
Right.
they also put in tubes in his chest, just in pipes, just in case he had a through and through bullet strike
Yeah.
that caused a puncture in his lungs, right? So Kennedy, unfortunately, was pronounced dead.
At
Now,
1 p.m. Yeah.
yep, Texas law states you die in Texas, you do an autopsy in Texas.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Or you can imagine Trauma Room 1 was full of agents. It was chaos. They all had their guns
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dr. Earl Rose, who does all the autopsies, he comes down there and he goes, where you taking Kennedy? Because he's coming with us. Right? They put him in a coffin. They
Yeah.
ordered a coffin. They put him in a coffin. They wrapped his head up because it was badly bleeding. They
Yeah.
put a plastic liner in the coffin.
Yeah.
They were wheeling him out. Earl Rose comes down there and he goes, he's gone nowhere. Texas law states that I've got to do an autopsy, right? Which is 100% correct.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The Secret Service agents went up to him and pinned him against the wall,
I know.
shot him their guns, and he goes, if you don't let us out, because Mrs. Kennedy isn't leaving Texas without her husband, we'll run over you with the coffin. It's like, if all these guys are pulling out their guns, what are you going to do? Unfortunately, Jerome, this is where everything turned to shit.
Yeah.
The moment they took President Kennedy out of Trauma Room number 1,
it was, I agree.
That's when everything turned to shit,
Yeah.
right? Because now you've lost chain of command of the evidence from one spot to another spot. Now, John Connolly was in Trauma Room number 2.
Yeah.
John Connolly had sustained a bullet strike near his right armpit.
Yeah.
It went through him, exited out of his right nipple, went through his wrist, and lodged, I think it was in his left leg. There were bullet fragments in his left leg.
Yeah.
Now, it could have been either 1 or 2 bullet strikes that hit him, went straight through him, right?
Right.
And so they were able to recover him, and he survived. But during that day, one of the ambulance techs, the guys that are working, they work in the theater and things like that. Tomlinson, I think his name was. He kicked a trolley near an elevator, and now pops a bullet.
The magic bullet. Yeah.
See, Jay Jacks will be happy now. This bullet that was found, now wait for it, underneath the mattress. Underneath the mattress.
I know.
And they recovered this bullet, right? It was a full metal jacket bullet, known as CE399. It was the so-called magic bullet, right? So the amazing thing is, Jerome, the guy who found the bullet goes, I can't remember what trolley it came from. It could have come from this trolley that had John Connolly on it, or it could have come from the other trolley. right? He wasn't 100% sure. You know
Oh.
what the Warren Commission did? Oh, yeah, it came from the trolley that had the governor on it. So instead of
Yeah.
actually saying, we don't know
We
where
don't
the
know.
actual
Yeah.
bullet came
No.
from,
No.
they said, no, it came from John Connolly's stretcher. There was no proof or evidence that it did. But
No,
here's the
even John
worst part.
Connolly was not agree with the Warren Commission about that.
100% correct. 100% correct. But here's the problem, right?
Yeah.
The bullet that was given, the guy who found the bullet, he gave it to person A. Person A gave it to person B. Person B gave it to person C. Person C gave it to person D. They were all asked, do you recognize this bullet? They all said no. They all said no. And I've got the document.
Yeah.
And where all of them go, that's not the bullet I saw.
No.
The bullet that they saw had a sharp tip. It was not a round-nosed bullet, right? So
No.
that bullet in evidence was critical for the single bullet theory.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
The single bullet theory. So Jerome, that's basically what happened to Parkland, right?
Yeah.
So the important thing is this: wound to the throat underneath the Adam's apple.
Yeah.
Massive wound on the right side, back of the skull, oozing blood. And brain. Several pathologists said, "My God, we saw cerebellum."
Yeah.
Cerebellum.
7. Yeah.
Cerebellum is at the base of your skull.
Yeah.
Right
I know.
at the back, at the base of your skull. If you're seeing cerebellum, it means that you've lost a massive portion of the back part of your head.
The gray matter,
right?
And
correct. Not cerebrum, but cerebellum.
Yeah.
Right? So Kennedy had a massive head wound. Right?
Yeah.
Are we all in agreement? Are we in agreement to that?
Right? Oh yeah, I
agree
with
that.
100% agree.
Right. So Earl Rose wanted to do an autopsy. It would have taken him an hour tops. No. He's coming with us. So they load Kennedy on Air Force One in this big heavy coffin, right?
Yeah.
And Air Force One then goes to Love. I think it was at Love Field.
And
they go to Bethesda, right? The Naval Hospital, right? And all the shenanigans there. Anyway, they bring Kennedy to do his autopsy. The whole bloody autopsy room is full of people, cameramen, news reporters,
generals, yeah.
There were 2 FBI agents.
Do you remember?
Yes, I do. Sieber and O'Neill, I think they were.
Yeah.
Go in there, write everything down.
Write everything you can,
right. These 2 FBI agents were right next to Kennedy, writing everything down. Whatever the pathologist said, they wrote down.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I know.
And can you believe neither of them were called up to the Warren Commission?
I know. But there is no plot. There is no plot.
No plot. Anyway.
Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here. So you imagine you're trying to do an autopsy on the President of the United States.
Yeah, it's the President
of the United
States. Yeah.
The pathologist had no experience doing gunshot wounds.
No, he never had work. No, never.
None of them.
No.
It's like you're, something about cars, and somebody comes up to you and says, "Can you fix up my Ferrari or Bugatti?" And you're going, "I'll try with the
I'll try, but
no, no." And to all jokes aside, all these pathologists in Dallas were thinking, or around the area were thinking, "I'm going to get a call. They're going to call me because I've got 20 years gunshot wound experience."
Yeah, I know.
None of them got a call. So the people,
no one.
Humes and Fink and Boswell, I think they were the names. Yeah. They had very little experience and were practicing doctors, pathologists that did routine autopsies.
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So could you imagine the chaos of trying to do an autopsy on the president with all these people in your ear and shouting orders?
It's impossible.
It's insane.
Yeah. It's
Completely
insane.
insane. So they did photography, they did x-rays, all the x-rays, all the photographs, all the films were confiscated.
Yep.
They're all taken. The
Yep.
Secret Service got a bag, said, come on, boys, all in here. All the photographs, everything was
Everything.
taken,
Yeah.
right? Everything was taken. So here's the important thing about the autopsy. They didn't know about the bullet wound at the front, right? All they saw
Right.
was this
Because
big
the tracheotomy.
gaping,
Yeah. Yeah.
because of tracheotomy. All
Yeah.
they saw was a great big hole at the front of Kennedy.
Yeah.
And they had no idea. They knew it was a tracheotomy, but they had no idea that there was a potentially a bullet that hit
No.
him from the front,
Not at all. No.
right? Right? So what they found was when they turned Kennedy over, he had a bullet hole
In his
in
back.
his back, not his neck, in
Yeah.
his back. The pathologist got his pinky and put it in, and he goes, holy shit, this is not a through and through wound. It only went in a little bit and stopped. They're going,
Yeah.
where the hell's the bullet? So they x-rayed Kennedy from top to bottom. They couldn't find where the bullet was. They were really in a state of panic,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then,
It's true.
so the back wound could not be probed, but there's more. There's more. So they tried that. They were operating on his head, doing surgery,
Yeah.
taking out metallic fragments
Yeah.
from the bullet strike,
From the bullet strike. Yeah.
and they basically surmised that a bullet had struck him in the back of the head. A
Yeah.
bullet had struck him at the back of the head
Mm.
and blew out the front.
The front.
And
Yeah.
there was another bullet strike at the back, right? And that was it,
Yeah.
right? Now they took pictures of Kennedy's back, right, and head.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, there's no back of the head wound. There's nothing.
No.
I did a lot of work on the anatomy. Trust me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did
Yeah. I know.
hundreds
I
of
know.
hours
I know.
on the anatomy, and I looked at it and I'm going, wait a minute. Parkland, massive hole in the head. Bethesda, no hole in the back of the head. I'm thinking to myself, this can't be the same guy. You cannot have two different things. What had happened was, when they took the photographs, they didn't tell you the order that they took these pictures. What people have surmised, Jerome, was that they reconstructed Kennedy's skull.
Yeah.
Right? Because they found additional skull fragments in the limousine, which they brought to the hospital.
Yeah.
And also Harper found a bone fragment in Dealey Plaza that got blown off Kennedy's head.
Yeah.
Here's the interesting thing. Depending on where you put it in the skull, it could either be an exit wound from a shot from behind,
or
an entrance shot from the front, or an entrance wound. But when they took photographs of Kennedy, his face was fine.
Yeah.
The way the angle of that bullet from the back, it would have blown out his left eye completely out. There was nothing wrong with his eye.
No.
For some unknown reason, the bullet did not do the damage it was meant to have done. But what you could see, Jerome, if you look at the pictures, was this neat hole on the top right near the temple.
I
right?
remember.
And
Yeah,
remember what that remember what the press guy showed at Parkland? He goes, shot through the head. There.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
It's
shot from
right
the front.
there. Yeah, yeah.
I shot from the front.
In front of
And
the
you can actually
camera, and
in front of the camera, and you can actually
yeah,
see a small round hole
yeah, yeah,
near the temple area of Kennedy.
yeah,
And so what people believe now happened was that it was a tangential strike. It struck him not full on, but on the side, and it ripped open his skull and blew out the back of his head. So he was shot from at least one strike from the front and potentially got hit in the back of the head by a bullet. In other words, he got hit by two bullets from
yeah,
two different directions.
yeah.
And the bullet strike at the back of Kennedy was a non-through and through.
No,
Non-through and through.
no, no.
So,
I know.
so to answer J Jack's question about the magic bullet, right? Here's the problem. This absolutely terrified the Warren Commission because the Zapruder film showed one thing. The whole assassination took place in 5.6 seconds. Right? All three shots, 5.6 seconds, and they knew that the Mannlicher Carcano rifle takes 2.3 seconds to operate the bolt, put in the bullet, and fire. That's not without even you looking down the scope or the sight to
No.
hone in on your target. So the fastest you can do the recycling was 2.3 seconds.
Yeah.
When they looked at the Zapruder film and they saw Kennedy come out from underneath the Stemmons freeway sign,
Yeah.
he already had his hands up like this,
Yeah.
going, oh shit, he's been hit. He's
Yeah.
already been hit, right? Because with a bullet, because it travels so quick, by the time you hear it, it's already done the damage.
Yeah.
And you can see John Connolly doesn't appear to be hit because he's turning around.
Not at all.
He's still holding his hat. You know, he doesn't look hit. They're going, oh shit, this can't be good. Because Kennedy is reacting,
Yeah.
but John Connolly isn't, right? And then
Right.
Connolly goes, I never got hit by the first bullet.
No. No,
Right?
I
And the
know.
Warren Commission goes, yes, you did.
Yeah.
And he goes,
Yeah.
no, I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So think about the witness who got hit and struck by the bullet is telling the Warren Commission, you're full of shit. The
Yeah.
Warren Commission is saying to him, you're full of shit. He's
Yeah.
the victim who got hit by the bullet. He goes, I heard the first shot. I never got hit. The second shot hit me.
It's me.
The
Yeah.
third shot, as I was turning around, boom, Kennedy's head exploded, right? So they're going, oh God, how are we
And
going to explain this?
and you have James Tagg who is touched by a bullet.
Correct. James Tague was he was near the triple underpass, right? And when he heard the bullet, the shot,
Yeah.
the shot, he goes, oh, I've got blood on my cheek. And next to the footpath, there appeared to be a fresh bullet strike, right? So it looks like one bullet may have missed entirely, or there were other
Everything.
bullets
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
fired at Kennedy, right? Because some of the witnesses said, I saw the pavement explode,
Yeah.
as in a bullet strike hit the pavement near the limo and a fragment flew off and hit the pavement, right? Because they could tell, because the FBI cut that section out, analyzed and said, no copper, lead, which means it was a fragment, right? And then the investigators were going, well, where is that piece of concrete? We want to do analysis.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gone.
It's gone.
They got the whole FBI building and they said, we threw it out. It's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
like the brain of the president. Yeah.
the brain of the president is missing. Correct.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, apparently they said they gave it to Robert F. Kennedy, but yes,
Yeah.
by sectioning the brain, you can
Yeah.
actually determine the angle that the bullets were coming in, right?
Yeah.
So here's the SBT, the single bullet theory. So the single bullet theory was that you had Kennedy sitting behind, and you had John Connolly sitting in front of Kennedy in the jump seat, and they were going. Alan Spector was going.
Alan Spector, yeah, was
Alan Spector, he's got, maybe the same bullet hit both of them.
yeah,
Yes, that's it. We can save our bacon by saying, well, one bullet went through both men, right? Went
yeah,
through
it's true.
both men, caused seven injuries, right? Think about it.
Yeah, yeah, and the
Through
bullet's
Kennedy's
still
back,
intact. Yeah,
through Kennedy's neck, in John Connolly's back, smashed the rib out of John Connolly, in through his wrist, smashed a rib bone, left fragments in the wrist, and I think there were bullet fragments in his chest as well,
yeah, yeah,
and lodged in his left thigh,
yeah.
and there were bullet fragments left in his thigh. So Alan Spector has this brilliant idea. Hey, look, we found this bullet in Parkland Hospital on a stretcher. It's got to be from Lee Harvey Oswald's rifle. So one bullet caused 7 wounds in 2 men, right? The magic bullet. But there's a problem. And I remember debating this for days and days and days. The problem is this: the bullet hole in the back of Kennedy is lower than the bullet hole in the front of Kennedy, which means that the trajectory of the bullet was going up. That ain't
Yep.
going to happen.
So it's
Oh,
impossible.
yeah, but Kennedy, he was sitting. Well, people worked out that Kennedy actually had to have his chin on his chest or his knees for the angle to be correct. And nowhere in the Zapruder film does it show Kennedy violently putting his head all the way down to his chest,
Never.
right? That's one, because Kennedy was sitting erect. So they're going, oh my God.
Yeah, he
It
was
can't be that.
wearing he was wearing something for his back because
Correct. He had a back brace.
Yeah.
And all these people were saying, oh yeah, but Kennedy's jacket rode up. His shirt rode up. Because when you look at his clothing, they know exactly where it struck Kennedy, right? It was way too low. And yes, his back jacket did ride up a little bit.
Yeah,
but
a little bit. Yeah.
It didn't ride up 5 inches.
No.
Right?
No.
Both his shirt and jacket, the bullet hole matched, and it was way too low. And it matched Kennedy's hole in his back when they took the pictures.
Yeah.
So everything lined up. So they had a problem.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The bullet
Absolutely.
hole in his back was too low. So you know what the Warren Commission did? The Warren Commission moved. They moved the bullet. They moved the bullet hole
on a schema.
They moved the bullet hole.
Yeah.
So instead of using the actual original photographs, they used drawings. Jerome, it blows your mind.
Oh yeah,
it blows your mind. They actually used drawings. The pathologists were not permitted to look at their own X-rays or pictures. They had to use the cartoon drawings.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the pictures and I'm looking at the photos. They look nothing alike. The bullet holes, they shifted. They shifted.
Yeah, I know. It's a joke. Yeah, I know. The Warren Commission was a joke from the beginning.
Correct. But the ultimate sin was this. The bullet hole, the bullet that struck Kennedy in the back was a non-through and through. And to prove it, now listen to this. They took a metal probe. They opened up Kennedy's chest, right? They did a full autopsy. They took his chest out, organs, everything. They stood him up because there were people in the autopsy room that observed it.
Yeah.
Because they were all questioned years later, right? The ARRB had a big conference. They spoke to all the doctors, pathologists, everyone. They took a metallic probe and they pushed the probe at the back. Now, if a bullet went all the way through, you've got a hole.
Yeah.
They discovered that they could not push the metallic probe through the hole. They're going, oh, oh, maybe it didn't touch any bone, went through strap muscles, didn't touch any organ, no nothing, and it came out neat. Here's the problem, right? I looked at all the anatomy books. You got major blood vessels, and all the blood vessels were intact. Because when a bullet goes through tissue,
Yeah.
you get cavitation. It
Yeah.
expands.
Yeah.
It would have blown all your blood vessels, everything.
Yeah.
What did those pathologists not do? They didn't track the bullet path.
No.
And they said, oh, the Kennedy family said, don't do that dissection. We don't want you to do. But by law, if you got a bullet
Yeah.
hole,
This
you
is a
need to
story
track it.
told, but yeah.
You need to track the bullet path.
Yeah.
So they showed that the hole in the back was not a through and through hole. The hole in the back of Kennedy was too low compared to the strike at the front.
Oh yeah,
The
absolutely. Yeah.
single bullet theory was dead and buried. And if any fucking idiot tells you otherwise, tell them to come and see me, because I debated these guys on the forums
Oh
for
yeah.
years.
I imagine. Yeah.
They cannot accept it. They cannot accept it
It's
because
crazy.
that's their whole case.
Yeah,
That's
it's
their
a
whole
case.
case.
Yeah.
If you if you take away the single bullet theory, they're going, oh shit, one more shooter. There's got to be another shooter,
Yeah.
because the Mannlicher Carcano rifle cannot cycle that quickly.
No,
All
and
jokes aside.
no, and if we can
Yeah.
talk about this rifle just 2 minutes, I'm not an expert in rifle, so I
Yes.
don't know a lot, but I don't know so much. I mean, but I know that the Italian Carcano rifle was not a good rifle at all. In the
Correct.
in Italia, they were saying it's more rifle to make love than to make war because he was so bad. And
It
it's
was,
true. It's true. It's true. It's just,
it was it was actually called the humanitarian rifle,
yeah,
because
yeah,
the way it worked was that the bullets went straight through you. So you were injured, you left the war, and you went home.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
If you have a look, this is the problem. You have a look at the bullet strike that struck John Connolly. It went straight through him.
yeah,
That's exactly what a Mannlicher Carcano bullet is meant to do. A
yeah,
full metal jacket
yeah,
bullet. If you have a look at the bullet that struck Kennedy in the head, it exploded.
yeah. It's not the same.
It
Yeah,
exploded, which means how can you have two full metal jacket bullets behaving completely different, right?
no,
And
no
so
way.
what people theorized was that he was struck by a frangible bullet, a bullet that expands and explodes. And
Yeah,
the whole idea is that it causes maximum carnage.
yeah,
And the problem with the Mannlicher Carcano was that it was fairly rusty.
yeah,
The scope was misaligned,
yeah,
and it was a shithouse cheap weapon. And if you're
yeah.
going to assassinate a president from your work,
You have
you better
better.
make sure
Yeah,
you bring the
yeah,
proper equipment,
yeah,
right? And the stupid thing is, right, there's no doubt Lee Harvey Oswald purchased that rifle under the pseudonym Alex Heidel.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
mail order, got it from Klein Sporting Goods.
yeah, yeah.
The problem is he could have easily gone into any Texas shop and ordered any rifle he want, given a false name, no
And left.
problems.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he could have spent $30 and bought himself a really good weapon. But somehow, we haven't even talked about the evidence, but somehow the Mannlicher Carcano that was found on the 6th floor was not even in the sniper's nest.
No.
It was hidden between a set of boxes near the northwestern stairwell.
Yeah,
So,
and they find two rifles. They find a Mauser rifle at first,
well,
and
yes, there's controversy
yeah,
because
there
the
is a controversy.
the first officers that saw the rifle said, "Oh my God, it's a 7.65 Mauser, German Mauser, which
Yeah.
is a much more high-powered, more
Yeah.
accurate weapon, right?" But then the Mauser disappeared, even though people wrote it in a report. Said, "Oh no, you made a mistake. It's a 6.5 millimeter Carcano rifle." So, in regards to the single bullet theory, that's pure garbage,
Yeah.
right? And so, in my theory, is that there were at least two shooters from behind and one shooter from the front. I don't believe there was a shooter at the grassy knoll.
No.
I believe the shooter was more in front of Kennedy
Yeah.
towards the triple underpass,
Yeah.
not on the triple underpass, but actually, the amazing thing was at the triple underpass, just underneath it, there was a grate, a grill that's since
Yeah.
been removed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a person with a rifle in that grill would not be seen. And you had a perfect view of Kennedy coming down towards you, right? And
Yeah.
the takeaway is that was connected to the sewer system. So you can easily get in and
Yeah.
easily get out with not being detected at all. And the
No.
important point is that people smelt smoke.
Yeah.
So if a bullet is coming from that direction, the smoke is upwind and you're driving into it. And people said, "Oh my God, I smell gunpowder." And that's exactly, you're not going to smell gunpowder from the Texas
From
School
the
Book
no, it's
Depository.
impossible. No.
You're going to smell it in front.
In front.
And
Yeah.
I believe at the grassy knoll, it was a decoy. In other words, what people do is they throw a firecracker, cause a diversion, divert your attention, and
Yeah.
hence
Yeah.
everyone's running towards the grassy knoll, and your assassins are free to escape.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Jerome, we've gone for nearly 2 hours. I haven't even talked about my work. What
No.
what would you like to do? Would you like to
Oh.
do a part two?
Yeah. 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 Like you
I
want.
mean, do
For me, it's
people
the
want me?
same.
Do people
I,
want me to? Do people want me to continue,
I,
or
I,
what?
I will ask if anyone have a question for Dr. Selman.
Yeah. Why don't we take a few questions, and I'm
Yeah.
quite happy to come back and do part two because I could be here for another 4 or 5 hours. But I
I,
just wanted to put people in the picture
yeah.
of
Yeah. Yeah.
what had happened. Oh, the other important point is this: about an hour later, Officer J.D. Tippett was
Yeah.
killed in Oak Cliff, and the incredible thing was he was shot, I think, 4 or 5 times,
Uh,
but
yeah.
he
Four
was also
times.
shot
Yeah.
in the head.
Yeah.
Whoever shot him went right up to him and did like a mafia style shot in the head,
Yeah.
which is very, very unusual.
Oh
And
yeah.
then after Lee Harvey Oswald got arrested at the theater, he was interrogated, etc., and he was going to be moved to the county jail. 2 days later, Jack Ruby, with 70 policemen around Oswald
Yeah.
in a meant to be a secure basement, shot Lee Harvey Oswald, I think, once
Yeah.
in,
Once
in the stomach area
in the
and
stomach.
killed him.
Yeah.
And that's it. There was no trial.
No, there was nothing.
Yes. So you can
Yeah.
see why this case is very, very fascinating. And oh, we have a question.
But
Do you think the files will ever be released in full? No,
me
no,
neither.
no.
No.
They're like, say if there are 10,000 files, you might have 9,900 released. The ones that aren't released are all the good ones.
Yeah.
And they point to that the reason why they're not released is because of national security.
It's
Let me tell you
incredible.
now, the Kennedy assassination is still relevant today. What happened then is still relevant today. Yeah, yeah. There are many
Oh yeah,
sites. The
yeah,
Mary Ferrell, yeah, Mary Ferrell Foundation has got a lot of the documents. But one site, and I interacted with this gentleman many times. His name is Pat Spear,
ah, but
and
spear.
he's an American. Pat Spear, you've heard of him too.
Yeah, yeah,
He has analyzed the assassination to the nth degree, and he has a
yeah.
lot of documents, a lot of photographs. Fantastic. In my opinion, don't join any JFK forums
No,
unless you want
no.
to lose your mind, unless you
Yeah,
want to lose your mind and lose your hair. And in all jokes aside, I was a very active member for about 2 or 3 years, and I did some incredible, excellent research. But I got so down and out and depressed by all the trolls, I
yeah.
quit. I haven't touched Kennedy in 2 years.
Oh,
Nothing.
it's really
Oh,
sad because
yeah. No, it
always.
was it was horrible. Very bad personal attacks. It was shocking. Oh, the question is, how was the cop? Oh yeah. Let me tell you now. Let me tell you now. There are a lot of very suspicious things regarding JD Tippett,
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
and a lot of people have done research. JD Tippett should not have been in that area,
Not at
and
all. No.
he should not have been in that area at all. And it looks like JD Tippett was waiting for him,
Yeah,
was waiting for Oswald.
Oswald.
He was
Yeah.
going to be he was going to be the hero cop that killed the assassin. And in actual fact, there's it's likely that Marion Baker,
Hmm.
who encountered Oswald within 1 minute and 30 seconds post shots in the second floor lunchroom, was meant to boom boom.
Yeah.
So kill the assassin at the place of work, gun, bullets, paper bag, boom, all over. So yeah, there's a lot of issues regarding JD Tippett.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
but
Oh
again,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm
There's
not an expert. I'm not an expert on that, but I'll tell you, some people have done some incredible work that proved that the audio tapes have been edited,
yeah,
have been
yeah, yeah.
edited.
I know. I know. I know.
Let's get the
The
pathology.
potential.
No. I want to keep Kennedy out of foul play. To be fair, the pathology reports are a nightmare.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah,
gave
yeah.
up. I gave up. You cannot. The point I want to make, Jerome, all jokes aside, and this is the reason why there are so many conspiracies,
Yeah.
is because the handling and collection of the forensic evidence was shithouse.
Yeah.
The the pathology and the autopsy that was done on Kennedy was a disgrace.
Yeah.
How can all these pathologists really completely stuff up an autopsy to the point where they actually had to move the bullet hole
Yeah.
4 inches up? Remember that, Jerome?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They had to move the bullet hole that was in the back of the head in another investigation 4 inches up. And the pathologist who measured it goes, say that again. We had to move the bullet hole because all the angles were all wrong,
Yeah, all
right?
wrong.
Because they
Yeah,
know
yeah.
how Kennedy's head was to the side. They
Yeah.
know where the sixth floor was,
Yeah.
right? And they're going, this doesn't make any sense,
No.
right? So they had to shift the bullet hole 4 inches up. It's a complete farce.
Oh yeah.
Complete farce.
Complete.
In my opinion, I think the actual assassination was very straightforward.
Yeah.
The reason why no one shot at the presidential motorcade as it was coming up Houston Street was because they were waiting for him to be in the killing zone.
Yeah.
Once the
Yeah.
limousine had all the occupants to their back, they were gone.
Yeah,
They were
for
gone
in my
because
opinion,
all the agents were looking down.
yeah, in my opinion, it was a military operation made by person well prepared to this kind of assassination. So
Yes, yes. Um, yeah,
the
I don't even want to speculate, but you don't bring amateurs to a
no,
fight like this,
no,
right? You bring the best of the best,
the best of
right?
the
These
best.
are remember there were two women in that car.
Yeah,
Imagine if Jacqueline Kennedy or
was
Nellie
yeah,
or John Connally's wife were killed as well.
yeah,
They would have ripped Lee Harvey Oswald to pieces. And he didn't do any of the shooting. It doesn't matter. You make him out to be the bad guy, the communist, you're dead.
that's it. Yeah,
In Dallas, Texas, in the 60s,
yeah. Oh,
forget it.
yeah. There is
Forget
no
it.
way. Yeah,
Now,
yeah, I know.
I know I haven't spoken a lot about all these other peripheral issues as well, like people who actually had foreknowledge,
Yeah,
like Miltia, who said they're going to kill the president from a high rise building with a high powered gun. Couple of days later, boom. That's exactly what happened. And
yeah,
plus, also, there's evidence to suggest that Kennedy was targeted for assassination. I think it was in Chicago and Tampa, in other
yeah.
places as well. So they were after him.
Yeah, it
But
was the tour.
Texas,
Yeah, yeah, it was the tour for the presidential. In Chicago, his life was threatening, and they find, I
correct,
think,
correct,
in Miami, or Tampa, it was the same. They find out what
correct,
happened, and
correct.
nothing
They,
happened.
they, they, they found all these guns in this room,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
right? They
yeah, yeah,
found all these high-powered weapons in these room, and they're going, "Uh-oh, this building is right on top of the presidential motorcade,
yeah,
right?"
yeah,
So
yeah.
he was being targeted, no
And
question,
Dallas, yeah,
in my
Dallas
opinion.
was the last step, and
Yes, yes, it was, and that was the last real opportunity too,
yeah.
and it all involved Lee Harvey Oswald, the Texas School Book Depository. And so, really, Jerome, if we could do another podcast at another
Oh
time,
yeah, yeah,
I could then
absolutely.
talk. I could then talk to you how myself and many other excellent researchers took apart
Yeah.
the Warren Commission piece by piece, and I was able to do some research that I think got me into a lot of trouble, a lot of trouble, because I actually named names, and
Yeah,
it
but
didn't go down too well. The look, I don't think LBJ was involved in the conspiracy,
not. No.
but he was going like he was
Yeah.
going like this when it happened,
Oh
um,
yeah.
and in effect he benefited from Kennedy's demise, right? And what LBJ did to have Jacqueline Kennedy stand next to him while he got sworn in is the most disgusting,
Oh
shameful
yeah.
thing
Oh
I've
yeah.
ever seen. And did
Yeah.
you see that picture, Jerome, of his guard in the back who's
Yeah,
smiling?
yeah. Who smiled? Yeah, yeah, and
He
make a
smiled.
wink.
He was
Yeah.
smiling.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was smiling, and I'm thinking to myself, "Oh my God, this is a coup d'état."
Yeah,
You
it's a
know,
coup d'état.
at
Yeah.
such a at such a tragic period, you have one of LBJ's mates smiling in the back, thinking, "Ah, great, we're in the White House now." And of course, what happened? The war in Vietnam escalated.
Yeah.
Over 50,000 Americans dead,
Yeah.
and I think 2 million Vietnamese.
Two.
Was a huge number of Vietnamese
Yeah. Two
dead.
millions. Yeah.
Terrible,
Terrible.
terrible.
Yeah.
So but that's all the political ramifications.
Yeah.
I That's not really my field. But what I wanted to do, Jerome, maybe another podcast, is to go through the processing of the forensic evidence,
Yeah. Yeah.
and what my contribution to the literature was. So today,
Yeah,
Rita, I just wanted to talk about the context,
yeah, the context.
what happened in Dealey Plaza, what happened at Parkland, what happened at Bethesda, what happened to Lee Harvey Oswald, to to set up the scenario. Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you very much for that. Really, it was really
Ah,
excellent.
pleasure,
It was
pleasure.
really excellent. I see a question. What is the best book on the JFK killing? But there is so much book. I don't know. I have no idea. Really.
Yeah, there really are many books. The important thing is that the internet now has got so many resources.
Yeah.
Personally, if you want probably the best resource,
Yeah.
patspear.com. He's got absolutely every detail about the assassination, and I think I mentioned on his web page as well. Um, he's got everything you can possibly think about. He looked at all
Yes.
the
True. Yeah.
forensic
Yeah.
evidence, everything. It's very extensive, and that way you can do your own research as well.
By
There are many
yourself. Yeah.
books that
Absolutely.
you can get ebooks that talk about the assassination witnesses. I've got a really couple of really good guides that talk about all the witnesses, what they saw, what they said, how everything sort of fits together. Yeah, definitely. So you don't have to spend a lot of money. Buy maybe one or two of these ebooks. You'll get a lot of information. Correct. And you can ask me some questions too,
Oh
if you
yeah.
like.
Yeah. Absolutely. If you have any
Correct.
question
Correct.
for Tony, go ahead. We have the time. And yeah. 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 For in my opinion, it was a coup d'état for sure. And today we have just scratched the surface of the
Correct.
of but because there is so much to cover in this case. I was
Correct.
listening to you talking, and I was thinking all the time when you were talking about one thing. I was ready to stop to stop you and say, yeah, but remember this, and but
Correct.
it's it's impossible
Correct.
to
The,
people
the
to follow.
it is. It can get very complex very
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so the problem with the Warren Commission was that they interviewed all the witnesses. They couldn't get a story.
No.
They couldn't work out. That was the main problem. They interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people, and they're going, "We can't work out what happened," right? But let me tell you now, before we finish, Jerome, the most important witnesses were inside the Texas School Book Depository. That's where I focused all my attention and
Yeah, yeah,
the forensic evidence.
yeah.
And I spent probably a year or 2 years on the paper bag that Lee Harvey Oswald allegedly bought in his rifle, and the stuff that
Uh-huh.
the stuff that I found was actually very, if what I found was correct and others was correct, we've got direct evidence tampering by the FBI,
Oh, I think
right?
so. If you're
And
talking about the bag, then Lee was
yeah,
wearing, um,
yeah,
having with him, he was too small, and the
yes,
FBI have tempered the the bag to see to watch to show the Warren Commission
correct,
another bag. I know, and they have done that
correct,
with the picture of the autopsy too. Sometimes they don't want to show the picture. They
correct.
do a
Drawings
a
and
cartoon.
cartoons.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I know. It's
I've never seen an investigation in which the original autopsy photos and X-rays were not shown and not
no,
examined.
no.
And even the pathologists had to go to the National Academy or library, wherever it was, to view their own pictures
Yeah,
because they weren't allowed to use them as part of a deposition. They had
yeah.
to
It's
look at
crazy.
cartoon pictures. And let me tell you now, all the pictures that were drawn were inaccurate.
Oh yeah,
How in
yeah,
the
yeah,
hell can you say that Lee Harvey Oswald had committed all this carnage when you can't even look at the primary forensic pathological reports? It's off the charts.
yeah. And
Off the charts.
when you know, then Hoover direct from day one say we need to convince the public that Lee Oswald is the only shooter.
Correct. Correct.
Uh,
Correct.
what?
It was
Why?
there were look, it was tunnel vision,
Yeah,
investigator bias. The J. Edgar Hoover realized he fucked up.
yeah.
He felt guilt. He felt guilt because he knew he
Oh
should have
yeah,
told the Dallas police, um, yeah, Lee Harvey Oswald was in Dallas and he was directly on the motorcade route.
yeah, yeah.
Now, he didn't tell him. And
No,
you know what's amazing? Hosty, listen to this. This is my final point. Hosty, in a car park when he encountered the Dallas police officers, the sheriff's officers, he
yeah.
goes, "Oh my God, we knew that. We knew that he was capable of doing that. We knew that Oswald was going to shoot the president." And the police officers going, "What?" And can you believe in the Warren Commission when the police when the sheriff said, "I heard Hosty tell me all this fact," they said, "You're lying."
Yeah,
They said that the police officer, the sheriff, was lying because that meant foreknowledge by the FBI. And Hoover would have gone on the phone and said, "That's all rubbish.
yeah,
That's all lies."
yeah,
Because remember what Curry said on TV? He goes, "Yes, the FBI knew that Lee Harvey Oswald was in Dallas and worked at that building." Hoover got on the phone and said, "Oh, I could imagine what he said to Curry." Because, "Oh no, that was all just," he said on national TV, "that was all just rumors." And the FBI, they did, because he knew he was
yeah,
a dead. And what happened?
yeah.
The
He
FBI
knew.
refused to work with the Dallas police after
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
That's
I
shocking.
know. Oh, it's
That's
really
that's
shocking.
shocking.
That's really
Two
shocking
wrongs
when.
don't make a right.
Oh my God.
Hoover got caught out. Hoover got caught out badly. They,
Oh yeah,
if they were worried, if they were worried, all they had to do was get the agent Hosty to the Texas School Book Depository and eyeball Oswald and say, "You're standing next to me, mate,
yeah,
because you're on my list.
yeah,
You're on my list. You're a communist sympathizer,
yeah,
pro Castro. You've been to Russia. You're right next to the presidential motorcade. You are standing next to me." Would the assassination still have happened? I believe yes, because there were other shooters in Dealey Plaza. But at least you can say it wasn't Oswald, right? Shocking.
shocking. Ready, ready, checking.
Do we have any more further questions, Jerome?
I don't know. Sharon, do you have any question? No, I don't think so. So,
Okay.
I would like to thank you very. I would like to thank everyone in the chat. Thank you very much to be with us tonight for this special show. Uh, so it was really really interesting to listen to you tonight, Tony.
Thank you.
We have scratched the surface, but
Yes.
we can do other video to continue to talking about the case and go deeper in the
Yes.
rabbit hole because oh my God, there is so
Yes.
much to cover in this
Yes.
case.
We
So
in actual fact, and Jerome, you've studied the case as much as I have. We've covered 1%,
yeah, I
haven't we?
know.
We've only covered
Yeah, I know.
one
That's
percent of the
I,
case.
I know when I realize all the time I spend on this case, reading, listening, and I realize that I don't know really much because for national security content, or for some reason they don't want to release some files really interesting, I think so. But no, there is no plot, but we keep some files sealed
Correct.
for for some reason.
I
But
think it was 75 years.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
75. They're
yeah,
waiting for everyone to be dead.
yeah,
Anyone associated with what happened
yeah,
that day to be dead.
yeah. And really, when Trump, because Trump was ready to release this document, but the CIA had knocked at his doors and say, "Hey, Don, you can don't do
Correct.
that. You cannot do that. I'm
Correct.
sorry."
Correct. And what's remarkable is that a lot of documents have been released and they're all redacted.
Yeah,
And just go,
all,
you've seen them too?
all, yeah, yeah,
All
yeah, yeah.
black lines.
I have,
All black line.
I have
They'll say, we
upload
released that.
everything. Yeah, yeah. I see that. I was, oh my gosh. Yeah, it's released, but
Correct.
there is
All black.
nothing.
But
Yeah, I know.
if I could just say this point, if I could
Yeah,
just
go
say
ahead.
this point,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
we can we can actually work out what happened by examining all the wounds on both men and the limousine.
And the
The
limousine. Yeah.
limousine is a critical crime scene. Well,
Oh,
guess what
yeah.
they did to the limousine? They washed it,
Johnson
rebuilt it,
asked to
and packed
rebuild
it
and wash
away.
it. Yeah.
And packed it away. And the incredible thing was this: when the limousine parked at Parkland Hospital, one of the doctors, a female, said, "There's a hole in the windscreen, in the windshield, a
Yeah.
hole in the
Yeah. Yeah.
windshield." She goes, "I could have put a pencil through it."
Yeah.
As soon as the officer, the driver or one of the agents saw that people were looking at the limousine, they quickly got the limousine and they put it towards the back.
Yeah.
And what did they do? They
They
got a
clean
bucket and
everything. Yeah.
started cleaning the limousine.
Yeah.
So, brain, blood, bullet fragments, gone,
It's a crime
gone.
scene. Yeah. And
It
it
is
was,
a
yeah.
crime scene. And no one saw Stephen Avery there, right? So he wasn't there he wasn't there to clean up the crime scene. But these guys were cleaning the the most important part of the crime, the
Yeah, it's
limousine,
true. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's true.
So hence
Yeah,
you couldn't work out
it's insane. It's
bullet
insane.
strikes. Was there a hole in the floor? They said, no, 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 nothing. But they quickly took it away, washed it, reupholstered it, and they
Yeah.
stuck it in a museum. And the windshield they threw away. The windscreen they threw away.
Yeah.
So imagine if it had a bullet hole in it. You go, that's from the
Mm-hmm.
front.
It's from the
That's
front.
from the front.
Yeah.
The chrome up near where the mirror was
Yeah, yeah.
damaged.
Yeah.
There were bullet damage on the limousine
On
itself.
yeah.
It was a crucial part of determining
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
today, with all our computers and technology, you could have worked out angles, ballistics, trajectories. You could have worked it all out. Beautiful, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
gone.
I know. I know, but it's a shame, and in the same time it's good to
Yes.
talking about that, because we continue to talking about this
Yeah.
event who have changed the face of the world forever, because
It has.
it
It had a
was tragic.
massive effect.
Yeah.
A tragic. No, it was as bad. It was September 11 before September
Yeah.
11.
Yeah.
It was that
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 But again, Tony, thank you very much. It was really a pleasure
Thank you,
to
Jerome,
talking
for
to
inviting
you.
me. I hope I wasn't too boring.
Oh no, not at all. No, it was really interesting, and I was, like I said, I was ready to stop you all the time to give more information. You see, but after it's impossible to have a good
Yes.
comprehension. So we do this emission, the show, and we will do another one after, and we will if
Awesome.
you when you are available, we do that. So thank you
Yes,
very
that'll be
much.
fantastic.
I will
Thank you very
let
much, Jerome.
I will let you uh, close the show like this. You are my guest. You close the show. So
Well, thank you very much, Jerome, for giving me this time to talk about the JFK case. It's a case that I spent a lot of years of my life going through. I've learned a lot, and to be honest, there's still a lot more to learn. But thank you very much, and I'd love to come back at some stage and we can discuss more of this case. So yeah, and thank you for the listeners for coming in to chat. And awesome, thank you so much.
thank you very much, Tony. It was really a great moment. So thank you. I think we will see you in 1 week for another open mic or another video with Dr. Silkman. I don't know. We will see. But thank you very much. Take care, and like the dude was saying, if you have done so already, please subscribe. And I see you.